Welcome to Bowling Today. This is a presentation that is being put together for YouTube, and it's being put together primarily for Yongsan Lanes in Korea. One of the things that the Complete Bowling Service does is goes to each bowling center and consults based on what is good and what is going on in today's world. Many of the military bowling centers, and especially Oconus bowling centers, don't have the opportunity to take advantage of some of the seminars that go on. So this video is actually an attempt to bring some of the educational information to the bowling center itself. I've also spoken to several managers, Oconus, Korea, Japan, Guam, about this type of thing and the successes that updating your bowling center can have. So to begin, bowling. Surviving today, it's not just about knocking down pins anymore. Bowling has become a very multifaceted entertainment and hospitality industry, and that's what we're going to discuss in this show. Quick history of bowling. Bowling has changed several times from its origin till today. The version found in King Tut's tomb is very different from the sport that we see in 2014. Although over 9 variations of bowling are found in the world, 10-pin bowling is still the world's most popular recreation sport. Bowling has been outlawed 3 times in history and has also been a method used to determine guilt or innocence. It's funny because in the 1400s, a person that was presumed guilty for a crime would stand by bowling pins, and a priest, the local priest, would throw the ball, and if 7 pins or more were knocked down, he was innocent. More than 7 or less than 7 pins, and he was actually beheaded. So kind of a different justice system from what we have today, but bowling has a long history of different things. Even billiards and golf have the same caveman origin as bowling. Just whether or not they started off throwing sticks and knocking down things as something to do, and then decided to put them in holes and knock a ball into a hole. It became golf or billiards, or throw the ball at the sticks and knock them down. That's what the early bowling origin was from. Bowling in 1970 to 1985, because that's really where the military exploded in lane beds to answer the cry for league bowling. League bowling reached almost 14 million players in the 70s and 80s. League bowling was just kind of the thing that almost everybody did. If you're over 50 at one time, you probably have bowled in a bowling league, or your parents did, or remember hanging out in the bowling center because that's what happened. At that time, there was about 2 million people that went casual or open play bowling, and most of the time when they would go to the bowling center, they would hear, "Sorry, we have no room for you," or you would be bowling and you would want to go have a good time and you would be having fun, and you would be told to please keep quiet because there are league bowlers bowling in the house. The introduction of synthetic lanes to bowling centers was a big step to provide a more consistent low maintenance option, but wood was still the preferred surface from league bowlers. The lighting was bright, and the more light the better. In other words, we want to make sure we can see the lane, see our target, see the arrows, and see what we are doing. The introduction of bumper bowling and music to centers was actually laughed at when it was first introduced, and the proprietors laughed, said that would never ever stay. No bumpers, nobody would ever want bumpers to bowl. Are you kidding me? Bowling ball technology became a major focus. The rotational dynamics and physics involved at a bowling center spawned so many pro shops and a whole industry. Public centers today look a lot different. League bowling has dropped considerably, and it's a thriving casual bowling business. The emphasis is on group and corporate business. 80% of revenue today in bowling centers in public is done between Thursday and Sunday. 75% of that revenue is food and beverage. A lot of bowling centers used to rent out or lease out their snack bars. They're currently taking them back. because they're realizing that is their revenue source. Rental shoe income in a public center today, I can name several centers that's well over $7,100 per lane bed is what their revenue is per year. You know, $7,000. I know one 60-lane center that does $1 million in rental shoe income a year, just from open play bowlers. Synthetic lanes facilitate a higher F&B, food and beverage income, because people can actually now drink. It was always forbidden for people to take liquid down into the lanes area. There's a lot of bowling centers that have wood lanes. If you spill liquid on the wood lane or the wood approach, then you have issues with sticking and liability issues with sticking and falling. Now you can just go to a synthetic lane and wipe it up. The atmosphere in most bowling centers is more like a club. There's couch seating and video systems, and music is just adds to the atmosphere. Lights and sound shows exist in most centers today, and it's really become a hospitality business. Public centers today look a lot different than what you might think of an old bowling alley would look at. It's now a center, it's an entertainment facility. It's got, you know, couch seating, they've got tables for food, they have waitresses and large video screens that cover lanes so you can watch either today's football game or music videos while you bowl. It's really a social environment. If you look at some of them, they are most multifaceted. They have movie theaters involved, they have big restaurants and arcades. If you talk about some of the centers out there today, you can see that they add lofts for corporate business and corporate functions. You have better light shows and more tables to facilitate, again, that food and beverage revenue. You know, we've transformed probably 30% of the world's centers at this point have been transformed into this type of atmosphere. They're much more designed for entertaining. This is actually a bowling center bar in Vancouver, Washington. Military bowling centers today are a little bit of a different story. They're starting to update, but there are several on the closure list or are closing because of the fact that they can't generate enough league revenue and league participation. Bowling is often set up for the 1.4 million league bowlers with some modifications to accommodate the nearly 76 million casual bowlers. That's right, 76 million compared to the 2 million of the 70s and 80s, and only 1.4 million league bowlers compared to the 10 million to 14 million in the 70s and 80s. Yet a lot of times what we see in bowling centers in the military is retirees and other people like that doing bowling, and those league bowlers tend to dictate what goes on when the real revenue is in the hospitality side. In many military bowling centers, again, retired servicemen are a large percentage of the business. Most military centers are very well maintained. They're very clean, but they don't look much different than the center that they originally built in the 70s and 80s. Rental shoe income in a military center struggles to be $2,100 per lane bed. Remember, the $7,100 in a public center that's been updated because they're capturing more of those casual bowlers. Snack bars in most military centers offer a diverse yet snack bar menu. It's obviously a snack bar. The cheeseburger, the pizza, you might add a few burritos or something in there, but it's not a restaurant or a sit-down style, like a lot of military clubs are. We've had a transition of a few centers are being accepted very well worldwide, and in Korea, for instance, the new Camp Humphreys Center will be one of these new transitioned centers. They'll have both a club and bar atmosphere. Really, if you look at bowling centers today, they are a combination of the club and the bowling center. It's an all-in-one encompassing building. Mainly by enlisted members, is what the transition of a few centers is mainly accepted very well by the enlisted members and their families. They're starting to promote group functions. Let's get into Yongsan Lanes specifically. and the potential for it. Yongsan Lanes today is very clean, but it's very well lit. It's got presidential seating. This was very popular in the 70s and 80s for league business, so we could sit down and make sure we were ready for our turn. If you look down here, we got nice clean stainless steel, lots of tile. Again, the seating is there by the scoring table, making sure that we keep score correctly, making sure everything is done by the league book. The current center, again, is clean. It has lots of space, which is really nice for a transition. It's well lit, but then again, it has the barrier wall. This barrier wall that you can see here helps to divide the spectator area from the league bowling with the wood lanes, so that nobody can bring their drinks down in there, and we make sure we separate those league players out. Has lockers for league players. Most public centers today have very few, if any, lockers, again catering toward the open play bowlers. Yongsan currently has a pro shop. Pro shop business in the worldwide has gone mostly to the internet, so that's just basically a blank space that they can drill bowling balls out. It's a nice retail facility, but realistically it would function much better as a meeting room, and we'll see that later in the plan as we go through. Yongsan plan, there's we've kind of put together between Dan and Freeman and some other people and myself, we've talked about the longevity of Yongsan, the base, and we know that eventually the base will likely close, but we're not sure that, if they keep the hospital or the Dragon Hotel open and some of the other areas of base, that those people that are on base and their families, as well as the people visiting base for training and other things, will need a place to hang out. So this is sort of a long-term transition plan, but to start with, we've got to kind of transition from the current league-based center into more of a club to support the personnel, families, and birthday parties and group and different areas of the base that want to get together as a group and have a function. It's really a three-tiered plan because we figure that the base will slowly phase down in size. Tier 1 encompasses changes suggested today in order to take advantage of the current trends and to create new revenue streams that are out there. Tier 2 is more about the removal of some lanes and repurposing of some space. And Tier 3 is really an updating of the center from the actual bowling center into a club or a place on base. And whether it's a Navy center that has a Chili's or the different places that are on each base, but the new looks of a Maggiano's or a Rock or a lot of the newer clubs and better places that enlisted people come to expect. If you think about the MWR, it was really founded to give military personnel overseas something that they expect, and some of the delights and some of the entertainment from home that they would see at home. But also, if we have the right facility on base, then we can help to keep these enlisted people on post and keep them out of trouble. Generally you'll find that a lot of enlisted, a lot of young soldiers will go off post and get in trouble, but that's what they're looking for. That's where the people are that they want to go hang out with. Tier 1. The current center is set up for league play with some entertainment, but today's market is based on casual play, not league play. In 1985, again, there were 10.7 million registered players, and they generated the league bowlers, they generated 85% of the revenue. In 1985, the casual open players were about 2 million and generated about 2% of the revenue. Now, today, there are approximately 1.4 million league bowlers generating 12% of the revenue. It's really a flip-flop. And 76 million casual players that generate 70 to 80% of that revenue. So really Tier 1 is about bringing it forward. First step is really to look at synthetic lanes. We need to get the situation where we prohibit liquid in the area down below, and we need to expand it to where we can have liquid in that area. and that would be the addition of synthetic lanes. The nice thing about it is they can be pulled up and moved to another location when the base is downsized. They provide more consistent oil patterns for the league players, but they also facilitate that food and beverage revenue. They have reduced maintenance costs. If you look at the resurfacing budget for most centers of the size of Yongsan, it's about $45,000 every year or every other year that they have to use to resurface those lanes. They sand them down, they put new finish on them to accommodate the damage that a bowling ball has. Synthetic lanes don't need that to happen, and they last between 15 and 20 years per lane. Filling into the settee area just makes it bigger and gets rid of a step and helps to get rid of that barrier. We can do that. I'll show you in another additional slide how to do that. But it also adds for additional settee space and allows us to remove that partition wall and get rid of that barrier look. We can update the seating. I would recommend using center stage seating. We'll show you center stage seating. It's more of a couch type seating on at least eight lanes of the new center. Now it's variable setup, so you can move it around and have it set up for different settings for different groups, much like a banquet room would be set for theater style or classroom. It adds a more modern look. I would recommend in the other lanes Frameworks Cherry. It takes it adds tables, and it provides a place for hold food and beverages and kids to have birthday parties. This is kind of the look instead of the barrier wall, something like this for spectators and people to watch. It also provides a place for their food. These are the Frameworks Cherry tables. And then on the back side we have mod walls which have either shelves or places for house balls in a different setting. This is center stage. This is, if you look, when you provide synthetic lanes, you can choose them in any color you want. But you also can provide the material in different colors to match the decor of the facility. Potential seating change we'd really look at is getting rid of that barrier wall, update the color scheme and furniture, and reduce as many steps as possible. And all improvements result in improved bowling environment, which is highly conducive to more food and beverage revenue. It has the current look and maybe a potential new look. Opens it up, adds some video, change the look and get rid of a step or possibly two. The way we do that is really currently there's a step up to the approach and then a couple steps up to the concourse, and by filling in the gap with concrete, we actually can get rid of one step here and potentially just move a platform for a second step. We can do that in two ways, to have just one step, and with one step we don't need a rail. By using the other partitions that were in there, we can actually provide certain areas where people will walk up and down, so they can't walk through those tables that look like cocktail tables. Current open play layouts, there are several different center stage types of layouts. This stuff is modular seating, like you would do a modular couch. You can just take the same elements and move them around, and these are the same pieces being moved around for different looks. We want to transition the bowling center to look more like what the troops really desire. If you look at Bass Pro, or Camp Casey, we did this at Camp Casey, and Bass Pro Shops is a big retail facility, and they're putting the Uncle Buck's restaurants and bowling centers, and they take the lanes and actually make them look like an underwater aquarium. You take another facility. This is a facility in a different fishing place down in Florida that turned their bowling center, and this is their restaurant. The bowling center is actually back behind. This is again some center stage seating that's been used. This is a bowling center in Northern California that has a loft, and really realistically you can look down and you can see the big video, and the lighting has changed. We use accent lighting. It's not as bright as it was. It's more of a club look. And the seating, again, just different types of seating to provide that place that make it feel like more homey and more social. Other recommended changes are a video system. If you look at Yongsan Lanes, currently they have 3 video projectors, but adding more video projectors allows us to project not just the games that are on and may be on, and that's an Oconus challenge, so to speak, is to provide football games that are going. But Sunday night's game, if we record it on a DVR and play it on Monday night, we have Monday Night Football again. And we can get a lot of soldiers to pack the building with Monday Night Football. But the video system is also about the music videos and playing them across, or or playing, putting corporate events, or matrixing the videos to where we can have one big scene, or utilizing the bowling center with all this seating for briefings and graduations and different things where we can do slideshows because we can hook them up to the computer systems. We can put sports and music videos and movie marathons. These are the things that the kids are looking at today. They're watching, Friends marathons, Brady Bunch marathons. They're doing movie clipping. They're doing things where they provide a movie clip going across and you have to guess it and come to the front. It's an interactive way for kids to do things. We can allow Facebook and Instagram feeds to go through the bowling center, and that way we can always we can use those Facebook and Instagram feed we can use those Facebooks and Instagram feeds to help interact with people in the bowling center. There's some physical changes that need to happen. We need to open up the eating area, obviously, additional meeting space, and remove most, if not all, of the lockers. We can increase the kitchen capabilities and utilize get some new kitchen equipment. These are all recommendations for the first tier of the change. So take advantage of those revenue streams. Changing the existing layout. This is the current layout of Yongsan Lanes. To change the layout, we would remodel the kitchen, open up the bar, move and enlarge the gaming room, add meeting space, remove lockers, repurpose the area, move offices and one bathroom. The current look, the potential new look. Okay, so basically you look at the current room, this is how it's set up. We take out the lockers, we move the gaming room, take out this space here, move the Pro Shop drill room and storage, take out the Pro Shop itself. We'd move the offices, take out this meeting room, drop out that storage that's behind, and the women's restroom. Now we kind of have a blank slate. Now with leaving existing walls, we could do most of this without changing many walls. It's still the same kitchen there. Now we're going to turn this into more of a dining area and move the office into that space that was the storage room behind the drill room. Make that Pro Shop that we saw earlier into a meeting room, and add an additional meeting room where the meeting room is now, but move it over into the office space to make it larger and more dividable. We now have a larger casino room, or slot room, and we've kind of pushed the wall out a little bit. That's one wall we have to push. We leave the men's room where it is, but we bring the women's room over so we can actually open up this space here so we have more access to the dining. It's more of an open eating concept. And then in the future, maybe we add an arcade over here in the area where the lockers were, because we've got to accommodate those families. Tier 2 changes down the road is removal of lanes. Downsize. The base is going to downsize in population and utilize the lane somewhere else on the peninsula. Improve the arcade, improve the menu, and maybe the future bowling center looks more like this. Only 16 lanes. And it has a new settee area. We do the couch seating, the center stage all the way across. If we even move down for the future, in the next future, maybe we make 6 lanes a bit more of a boutique feel and 6 lanes more of a family atmosphere, and we repurpose this area over where the 16 lanes are. We come back and we can add a banquet facility or a theater room. Again, this building is big enough to encompass all of the club activities that you may currently have in the club. And as you downsize to one facility that operates a multifaceted, which is today's bowling center, bowling and entertainment facility is really what they are. Brings it up to today's deal. We can divide them in half. Tier 3 is really more about the 6-lane movie theater. A 6-lane movie theater is actually the same. 6 lanes is about the size of a current movie theater, which can be used as a movie theater, You got to run thing you got to remember is in a bowling center where you see the lanes, it's actually 17 inches below that. Then you have the concourse up above. You can really add that tiered look. You have the natural room to do that. The movie theater can be there. That can be combined with the concourse site to get this thing. The 6 lanes is also a great size for a banquet facility. 6 lanes is approximately 40 feet across. So 40 feet by 60 feet room for a banquet room. You can do presentations, you can do briefings, you can do meetings and seminars in this room. The locker room becomes the arcade. The desk area, the control desk area won't need as many rental shoes, can be set up to sell concessions for movies. We can also use an automated ticket machine if we need to. Things to consider: filling in the area from the step up, that's one of the major things to consider. Remove the concourse settee divider wall and really open it up. Use seating options to block the trip hazards and guardrails if needed if we can only for a 2-step down, but I really think we can move it into a 1-step in different locations. We may be able to use a platform as a step. Center stage is very versatile. One thing to consider is to go ahead and do it on all 16 lanes. 16 of the 32 and do 16 the other way. Again, this seating can always be moved to another location. We can change to synthetic lanes. That's a must in today's environment. And add video mask. You have 1 screen per every pair of lanes. This adds the more video environment and can be used later to show movies on as you matrix them across. Products to purchase: really the construction of new walls. These are the basics are already there. There's just a couple of walls that would need to be moved. Electrical for the arcade. From previous experience in the bowling center, there is some electrical there, but a little bit more would need to be added when you got to that point. Most of them are drops from the ceiling that is very easy to do. Dining seating, some of the same seating that could be used if we went for 16 lanes or 32 lanes of the cherry framework seating we showed you before. We can use that for dining seating in the dining room. We can match it up. Synthetic lanes again are a must. Center stage seating is the couch seating, video screens, and some new updated lighting to add some accent lighting versus the big bright fluorescents that are all around. Budgeting numbers. Construction's the big one. It depends on how much you do and what you have to bring up to code and how much you do at each step. It can be $25,000 to $200,000. Camp Casey construction had to all the electrical had to be brought up to code. It was close to $1 million, but not as much needs to be done at Yongsan, and you can take it in phases. Kitchen equipment. In order to accommodate today's revenue and today's kitchens, we really need to have add some new kitchen equipment. Good budget number for that is $75,000. Dining seating, like I said, maybe you'll use some existing concourse seating that you have now. It's really looking at that and repurposing some of the stuff you have. Synthetic lanes, the standard synthetic lanes for 16 lanes is around $100,000. For 32 is closer to $200,000. But again, that's a must. That's a good number to go with. If you had colored seating for 16 lanes, these are 16 lane numbers because we don't know what you guys are planning on doing. But colored lanes, like you saw in some of the pictures, add about $30,000 for every 16 lanes. Images, those are the ones like we did at Camp Casey. Those are pictures. Add another $30,000 to have an image done. You can do anything you want. Baseball, you could do tanks, you could do golf courses, NASCAR, rock stage, whatever you want, whatever you come up with a picture design for. Center stage seating, that's the couch seating for 16 lanes, is about $60,000. For all 24s, another $60,000. Video systems for 16 lanes, about $50 grand. In the arcade, it really depends on the games. You can spend $50,000 to $250,000. Basically, thank you for listening. I'm hoping that this video gets uploaded and gets used to give you some options. Yongsan Lanes is a perfect building to become a club. It's next to the club and it's a short walk from Dragon Lanes. If you have any questions, my name's Dave Wilson. I'm with Complete Bowling Service, and we represent several different manufacturers and can answer lots of questions. My email address is cbsdwilson@aol.com, and my phone number in Seattle is 253-854-6000, extension 111, or I can be reached on my cell phone at 206-619-0114. And if you leave a message, a lot of times I'll get to what's the best time to call you back. I will call back during your business hours. Thank you very much.